When the clock hits 90 minutes and the score is level, a football match enters a separate legal jurisdiction. Under the International Football Association Board's Law 10, the standard match is officially over, and the tiebreak protocol begins. For decades, football administrators viewed the penalty shootout with deep suspicion, considering it an unfair way to decide a victor. Throughout the 1990s, governing bodies tested alternatives to avoid the shootout entirely. Their primary solution was the golden goal. This was a sudden death rule where the first team to score in extra time instantly won the match. The intent was to force an immediate conclusion, like Oliver Bierhoff's strike for Germany in the final of Euro '96. But the instant elimination rule created a strategic failure. Instead of attacking, teams were paralyzed by the fear of conceding. Extra time became stagnant and risk-averse, proving that the threat of sudden death actually ruined the spectacle on the pitch. Football eventually returned to the mandatory 30-minute format we use today. Playing for 2 full hours, however, pushes athletes to their physiological limits. To mitigate widespread fatigue and protect player welfare, the sport's governing rulebook, specifically Law 3, was adapted. Elite competitions now grant teams a designated 6th substitution, strictly reserved for the extra time period. Interestingly, the American collegiate system took the opposite approach. In 2024, the NCAA officially reinstated the sudden victory golden goal format for postseason play. For these student athletes, playing 20 minutes after a decisive goal had already been scored was deemed a physical hazard. Surviving extra time requires strict adherence to rules designed specifically to manage extreme physical exhaustion. If parity remains after 120 minutes, the referee blows the final whistle. What follows next, kicks from the penalty mark, is legally classified as an event separate from the match itself. Because of this legal separation, the disciplinary slate is wiped clean. Any yellow cards issued to players or coaches during the prior 2 hours are erased. Red cards, however, carry over. This creates a disparity in the shooting rotation. If one team finishes with 10 men after a red card, while the other has 11, the numerical advantage actually becomes a tactical liability. The solution is a protocol called reduce to equate. The 11-player team must immediately disqualify one of their own players from the shootout, so both sides have exactly 10 eligible kickers. Without this rule, the team with 11 players could simply exclude their weakest kicker, while the 10-man team would be forced to cycle through their entire roster. Reduce to equate guarantees numerical symmetry before the referee even positions the ball. Once the eligible players are set, the shootout follows a standard alternating sequence known as the ABBA format, where Team A kicks, then Team B kicks. This timeline highlights a consistent statistical imbalance. Analysis of historical shootout data proves that the team kicking first wins approximately 60% of the time. This split is driven by measurable psychological asymmetry. Economists model this using the Bellman equation. If the first team successfully converts their attempt, the second team operates under intense cognitive load, knowing a single miss brings them closer to immediate defeat. To fix this inequality, the Rules Board authorized trials of an ABBA format in 2017. Modeled after a tennis tiebreak, Team B took 2 consecutive kicks in the second and third rounds, temporarily reversing the psychological pressure. The math showed progress. The ABBA sequence successfully narrowed the first-mover bias, dropping the win rate for the starting team down to a 52 to 55% range. Despite its statistical efficiency, the trial was abandoned. Spectators and commentators struggled to track the sequence in real time, and players felt the structure disrupted the simple, rhythmic tension audiences demand. The physical execution of the kick itself is policed strictly under Law 14. For instance, if a kicker slips and accidentally kicks the ball into their own standing leg, it's an illegal double touch. Even if the ball rolls into the net, the goal is disallowed and recorded as a miss. Historically, defending goalkeepers capitalized on this pressure, relying on psychological distraction tactics to break the kicker's focus and delay the routine. Governing bodies restricted these tactics in July 2023 with a set of revisions directly targeting gamesmanship, widely known as the Anti-Martinez rules. Under the updated text, goalkeepers are explicitly banned from touching the goalposts, shaking the netting, delaying the taking of the kick, or verbally harassing the penalty taker. These revisions draw a hard regulatory boundary. The laws now protect the concentration of the kicker, stripping the goalkeeper of their traditional tools of intimidation. The penalty shootout is a strictly regulated environment. The laws manage the tension between physical endurance, mathematical symmetry, and psychological pressure. Football accepts the 60% statistical bias of the traditional format. The alternatives, confusing the global audience with complex kicking sequences, or returning to the fearful stagnation of the golden goal, are viewed as more damaging to the integrity of the sport. By enforcing these legal boundaries and balancing the intense psychological pressure at play, the tiebreak reveals itself as a meticulously engineered sequence of high-stakes sports.